I know it's the romantic comedy guy that's in me. Again, be looking for that here somewhere on Foolish Club Media as I do my top 50. Um, but as we record this, it's Thursday night. I look up, I'm looking at Arrowhead and seeing the little Bengals. I'm sorry, little Bengals, little Bearcats, Cincinnati Bearcats against Nebraska. And I look up and I see Travis and Taylor. And it just makes me smile. And I know there are some real, just ridiculous, just hater ass people out there that I don't know, find some sort of negativity out of this and are hoping for this not to work. But I know they just bring a smile to my face. And I just sit there and I look up at Taylor and I think, damn it, Taylor. Did you know your ass was going to be on a random Thursday in Kansas City watching Matt Rule and the Nebraska Cornhuskers
and the Patrick Mahomes lookalike
against Cincinnati? Like,
I forgot that's where Matt Rule landed.
Like, all right, yeah, I might. Okay, a Chiefs game, sure. I mean, I bet you she didn't know she was going to be at Arrowhead Stadium this much in her whole life. And she's sitting here drinking what looks like to me, this is pure speculation, looks like maybe some sort of a tequila and soda. There was a lime there, so I'm just guessing maybe that could have been just soda water and a lime, not sure. But I don't know, man. Those two make me smile. I'm happy for them, man.
Ron, I know this makes us feel small town or sound small town. I don't care. This stuff doesn't happen in Kansas City. Like this is normal in LA. This is normal in New York. It's even somewhat normal in a place like Chicago. Your spot where you're at right now, Ron, in Houston, like you get some of this kind of stuff down there. Atlanta, maybe you'll get some of this.
No, yeah, we got Stephon Diggs and Cardi B. It's a bit different. Go ahead.
But you don't get the biggest pop star in the world just showing up to random events on a Thursday night in Kansas City. That's not how our hometown operates. So the fact that it's taking place is both baffling and also wildly amusing to me. I love every second of it. I think it's awesome.
I think it's just like amazing. Like I think all of us are in relationships right now, and 5 years before meeting the woman you're in a relationship with, I mean, you could not have predicted that you would have been doing that. This is what you would be doing. I don't know that you had it in the cards that you'd be living in St. Louis. And that was the spot, Steve, I don't know if you'd have some of the things in your life in the cards that are rolling through. I damn sure know she didn't think she was going to be sitting there watching in 2025 Cincinnati, Nebraska live.
And not only that, Travis said he wants to keep his house in Kansas City forever. So, it's going to be a stop even after he hangs it up. I'm sure
it's going to be a stop.
I'm sure she's got an LA home and a New York spot and all the major cities, but they're going to stop in Leawood.
And shout out to Ed for letting us know. Shout out to Ed, whose blubbering, crying ass let us know that this was a stop in Leawood, that gazebo and flower arrangement thing that they put together for the proposal. So it is beautiful. It is beautiful. All right, get down to business. Somebody who was not at the stadium was Rashee Rice. I don't know. Is he eligible to go to games? I don't know. Like other games? No, like other games. Can he go to Cincinnati, Nebraska? Can he even? Yeah, I don't know if he could.
He's allowed to be in the city.
I don't know. I think he'd be in the city. Can he? I just don't even think they're allowing him to get to Arrowhead. I don't think he can go on the premises. I don't think if it's a game, concert, he can't go to Kenny Chesney. He can't be anywhere near the facility. But he is suspended, 6-game suspension. He'll miss. I know what the Chargers game, the Eagles, the Giants, the Jags, the Lions are in there, and the Ravens, right? The Ravens, those are the 6 games.
You crushed that.
It mix. The Ravens, I know I have them out of order, but the Ravens week 4, then the Lions are the last game he misses, the Jags in between them. But he'll miss those 6 games, and there's some thoughts, a lot of different thoughts to go around in there. But this, I've seen people, and you know it, you'll get people from either side, right? There's some people, it's like he should have gotten 10, 12 games, and they're helping the Chiefs. And then there's Chiefs fans. He should. What are you talking about? Jordan Addison had 3 games, and like, pump your brakes, champ. On both sides, it would be unprecedented if this is double-digit games. And listen, Jordan Addison had a DUI. They actually have, I think they have a written framework, in the agreement of what happens with the DUI. This joker's in broad daylight injuring people, and it could have been worse. Like, this could have been a stalwart type of situation. But it feels fair to me. It's just your overall thoughts, BK, on the Rice suspension part of it.
Yeah, the first thing is the obvious. Like, I think this is where it was always likely to land. I mean, the NFL seemingly, based on all of the reporting that's out there, wanted a 10 to 12 game suspension. That's just completely out of line with every other piece of precedent that they've put out there. Like, when somebody gets into the type of trouble that Rashee Rice got a couple of off season to go now, it typically lands in the 4 to 6 games range. He was always going to get something along these lines, and it was always just a matter of how we got to that place. Whether that started in week 3, went to week 9, or whatever it ended up being, it was always going to be somewhere around this range. So for the Chiefs, I'm really glad we can just get this out of the way at the beginning of the season, because now you can use the second half of the year to fully incorporate Rashee Rice back into the system. Not that that's going to be a problem, but I do think that could make things a little more difficult for Xavier Worthy to find his spots, for Hollywood Brown to find his spots. That's where things get a little more interesting. So they know how to play with this group of pass catchers. It's what they used all of last season. I'm not super worried about that. We can get into that a little bit more here in just a little bit, but I think 6 games was always going to be the landing spot. I think the NFL wanted to show we're coming down hard on the Chiefs, and that's why it was floated that it was going to be 10 to 12. And then it was always going to be negotiated down from there. So they landed in the spot that we all thought it was going to be. I'm just glad that they could get this out of the way starting week 1 instead of having to go through the whole song and dance of an arbiter and everything.
Yeah, that week 7, that would have been stupid, or 5 or whatever. That would have been dumb.
Yeah, I think this is best case scenario for the Chiefs. You're never going to be healthier than you are at the start of the season. You carried a bunch of wide receivers for a reason, and it's because you knew the suspension was likely coming and you wanted it to happen at the start of the year. Like, I don't want to have any more conversations about how difficult the Chiefs' schedule is and conspiracy theories and whatever, because I remember back to last season when everybody was like, this is the toughest stretch to start a season that any team has ever faced. And what did the Chiefs do? Like, they did all of that. And Pacheco got hurt. Like, Rashee Rice got hurt. Hollywood Brown got hurt. And they were still the best team in football through the first half of the season last year. And so they're going to be fine. And they have enough pieces now to totally weather this storm and be okay. And then you get Rice back for late in the season where it really matters, and he will be the focal point of the offense.
It's yeah, I agree with all the legal part of it and the suspension part, but this is what makes the Chiefs scarier than any other team in football. The Eagles and the Ravens might have an overall better roster. There may be some other teams. Some people might argue other teams. But what makes the Chiefs scary, and they know it and everybody else knows it, is there's no team that could lose what Rashee Rice is to their teams. And like, I'll do this. What's your concern level right now? You heard the Rashee Rice on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like extremely concerned, oh shit, and 1 being it's nothing, not concerned. Like, it is scary what my concern level is.
Okay, so I want to preface this by what I'm about to say. Like, It's because I grade the Chiefs on a different scale than I grade every other team in the NFL. My concern level on them, like not winning the division now, is a 1 or a 2. It doesn't change anything for me in that regard. But in the AFC, given the way that this thing is constructed, where we know every single season, it's the Chiefs, it's the Bills, it's the Ravens. Those are the 3 teams. They're all going to be vying for the number 1 seed, and whoever gets it will likely avoid the other 2 teams until you get to the AFC Championship game. That's the real value of the bye. It's A, you don't have to play that first game, and B, you don't have to play the other 2 teams to get to the Super Bowl. You only have to play one of them most likely. So my concern level with this suspension is like a 6 because of that, because of what it potentially means for the 1 seed. Because, man, this team can lose to Philadelphia. It can. They can lose against the Baltimore Ravens. They can lose against the Detroit Lions on Sunday night. All of those things are incredibly possible. And if you lose 2 or 3 of them, it puts you well behind the 8 ball to potentially get that number 1 seed. So it's not about me like being overly concerned about them making the playoffs or winning the division or anything like that. It's all about that 1 seed. And for that, it's probably on a scale of 1 to 10, a 6.
Yeah.
I'm a 3, Steve. I'm a 3. Like my concern level's a 3 with him.
I think I'm kind of, I think I'm at like a 3. Because like I still have my questions like about those 2 teams. Because like I agree, it's like the Ravens and the Bills are the teams that you are competing for in the AFC, and those are the teams that are going to have a real chance of challenging you for the number 1 overall seed. And I have my questions about the Bills. Like, yes, Josh Allen's going to be amazing, and he's going to drag that offense with him everywhere he goes. But I have questions about what the Bills' defense is going to look like, because I feel like they overperformed last year, and I don't think they made any dramatic additions to it coming into this season that makes me like overly scared of their defense. Like, I feel like that's been an under-discussed thing about the Bills because everybody just expects them to be the Bills. The Ravens are the team that really scare me because I think their offense is going to be one of the absolute best offenses in the league. They've got some question marks along the offensive line, but their secondary is the best secondary in football. And the biggest thing that they really needed was a pass rusher, like a difference-making pass rusher. And they might have gotten that in Mike Green in the second round, who was a first-round talent that fell because of off-the-field problems. And it's like, I think the Ravens are legitimately their biggest challenger. So I think that that's the only team that I'm legitimately like scared of right now. But I've just seen this story with the Chiefs before. I've just seen Mahomes with way worse protection than what we're forecasting heading into this season. Like, find ways to win games, drag it out until the last possession of the fourth quarter, and then go get it done. Like, there's just simply no way in my mind that this team is even going to be like 3-3 coming out of the first 6.
It is scary, my confidence level. Because I don't think you can I think you take away A.J. Brown. I'm not saying that the Eagles would fall apart, but there would be a much bigger level of concern if you take him off of that. And they may be the most talented team in football, but it changes them in a major way, and it puts so much more pressure on the running back and the quarterback. You take away Zay Flowers, it's a complete different deal. Now, maybe because I think Rashee is their number 1 weapon. You take away any other team's number 1 or 2 weapon. You take away AJ or Barkley. You take away Cook, for Buffalo. You take away Amon-Ra St. Brown for the Lions. It's a oh shit. With the Chiefs, it's like they played with an arm tied behind their back, their legs shackled together last year, and they won 15 games in the regular season, and they won 2 more. Like they were. I mean, they were out there with Worthy figuring it out on the fly and Juju, and Wanye over there, where every time he got into a pass set, I'm like the mom off of Rookie of the Year when he had to hit and he got walked and he's leading off first base and she's like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. That's how it was every time that they would have to pass and they would go in pass pro and they just figured it out. I mean, they figured it out. They beat the Niners before they tapped out and they had those guys. Like they blew them out. Like they were right there with Buffalo. They ended up beating Buffalo later. They beat the Steelers. They beat the Texans with that. Like I don't know, man. I just there are two players that get me to, oh shit, maybe three, maybe McDuffie, but really it's 95 and 15. If those two are out there with the coaching staff, like they won 15 games, man. Hollywood and Rashee were just not there. Their number one receiver was a rookie figuring out on the fly, and his best skill for some reason was they were unable to use his speed. It's crazy. They'll figure it out. And everything that you said about Buffalo, I think there is an argument that the Chiefs have improved to what they were running out there most of last year on both sides of the ball. In some of these areas, they've improved, right? Like their corner and their cornerback situation with Fulton should be much better with him as an addition. Their situation, Charles Omenihu hasn't played a full season for the Chiefs ever, right? Like, I mean, we forget how he didn't play till November. Like, and they've added some of these. I know it's a tough schedule. I look at it, but Rashee Rice, it was proven, man. He's not a guy that they cannot go without. I don't want to. I want him to be back, but they have proven that they can make it work without him. And what they're making it work with this year is night and day compared to what they've made it work with the last 2 years from the receiver spot.
Let's be clear here, though. They made it work by a razor-thin margin last year. They beat the Raiders by 7. They went to overtime against Tampa. They beat Denver on a last-second blocked field goal. They held on for dear life against Carolina and then did it the exact same way the following week against the Raiders. Like, this was not a situation. Yeah. This was not a situation where the Chiefs were blowing teams out. They were not playing particularly well until the final month of the season. Then finally they figured it out. Now, Ron, maybe the argument is, yeah, that was all because of the left tackle position, which I'm here to listen to. Like, I'm more than happy to hear that argument. But the margins last year were razor thin, and you can't continue to assume that will work out in your favor. There will come a point in time, if you continued playing on that razor's edge, eventually it's going to swing in the other direction. And when you're playing teams like what the Chiefs have in the first 6 weeks of the season, Chargers, Eagles, Baltimore, Detroit, that's 4 of the first 6 games. Those are the kinds of teams that could take advantage of it. I mean, last year in that range that I was talking about, the Bills took advantage of it, right? Like, they were able to beat you during the regular season. Most of those teams that I just mentioned weren't particularly great teams last season. Like, none of them were real playoff threats. You're seeing 4 of those, 4 legit playoff threats in the first 6 weeks of the season this year. So that's where I do think it is a bit different. The team is also different, though. You are right.
That's what I was going to say. Like, yeah, it's like Tyquan Thornton is a completely different talent, at least appears to be a completely different talent of what they were bringing out when it was Worthy and who was it? Worthy, Juju, who else?
Justin Watson. That's what I was going to say. Like, I think Justin Watson might be pretty similar to Tyquan Thornton.
The hell with that. No, I listen. I think he's more explosive. I think there is. Yeah. I think
we'll see.
Potential. I feel like that Justin Watson simply didn't have.
Like, I will take the elephant out of the room. This isn't a white thing. I think he's more explosive than that cat, right? I do like. And
I mean, Justin Watson had 460 yards a couple of years ago for the Chiefs. Like, he had some good moments.
No, I'm not saying Justin isn't sorry. I'm not saying that. I'm telling you right now, Justin Watson's having a hard time to get minutes with the Houston Texans right now. Okay, and he's like Xavier Hutchinson has flown past him.
He was the Chiefs' deep threat for 2 years.
Basically. Yeah, Xavier Hutchinson has flown past him. Braxton Berrios is past him. He's the final member of their team in the receiving room. I just like Thornton, like you having a Thornton year 2 worthy where they know him better, and Hollywood Brown and Juju, like that compared to like who was after Justin Watson? Sky? Who was next out there that they were out there making it work? And not to mention, hey, baby, head on a swivel. Check over there to the left side every time. Check over there to the left side. And I'm like, and this defense has a chance to. This defense, to me, I don't know how good they're going to be. Obviously, 2 years ago was arguably the best defense in modern Chiefs history. I don't know that they're going to be that, but I think they're going to be around what they have been. This feels like a top 10 defense, like what they have been. They like at the low end, this feels like a top 10 defense. So I don't know, man. I hear what you're saying. The margin was razor thin back then, but I think if this team rolled out and played those games that they were in that you just rattled off, I feel like those are 7 to 14 point games, right? Like I feel like those games aren't as close with these guys out there. I mean, they just had several second halves where they just couldn't. They couldn't run offense. They couldn't do much of anything. All right, the rosters are out. The initial 53. It seemed pretty normal to me. The only thing, am I alone? Did anybody else see the Mike Pennell thing coming? Was that? Am I alone? I missed that. I understand. I heard what Veach came out there and said they want to try to get more athletic and younger. When he was talked about that, then they brought in Noddy, which was interesting. But they want to get younger at that position. But that's really the only thing that I remember looking at that roster, and I just kept. Well, hold on, let me look back. I went over multiple rosters, and I said, well, damn, okay, maybe they think they get him on the practice squad, and that's not even the case either. They got other defensive tackles on the practice squad. I did not see that one coming. He was starting next to Chris Jones in the Chicago game. I missed that.
I didn't see that one coming. When I first saw the news, I was like you. I was like, oh, okay, well, this seems pretty clear. He's not going to go through waivers. They're probably just going to do the whole, you can play the game a little bit with the numbers, right? Certain guys, hey, we can tell them this is a paper transaction. We're going to put you through. Come back. We'll sign you on to the practice squad with the understanding you're going to get elevated a few times throughout the season. And then more importantly, when we get into the big games, you're going to be either on the 53 or you're going to be in the playoffs, definitely a part of our 53. So that was my assumption. And then when I saw that wasn't going to be happening here, I was like, man, all right, what's going on here? And it does make me wonder, do they just think he's not very good anymore? Do the Chiefs see this and say, hey, he kind of hit that tipping point. He's at that age where he's not the same player that he once was. That may very well be the case. They clearly traded for Derek Nottie for a reason. They wanted to get younger, get somebody else in there. It's not something, though, that really registers for me. I know this has become a pretty significant thing on Twitter this week. I think one of two things is probably going to happen. One, the defensive tackles that they have, whether that be Derek Nottie or one of the 3 other guys that they have on the practice squad, one of them is going to emerge as an at least average starter, or they're probably going to re-sign him week 6. We've seen them do this before, man, where he's not on the roster and then suddenly you get to week 7, week 8, you need a defensive tackle, and guess who you call? It's Mike Pennell, good old faithful out there, ready to go for you. So I'm not overly concerned about this.
Yeah. He said that there's a possibility to come back. I'm a little surprised by your response, BK, because just last week on this very pod, I feel like you were talking about your concerns with the defensive line, the interior defensive line to begin with. And I'm a bit surprised that this one didn't raise your eyes anymore?
Well, it didn't really raise my eyebrows because they brought in other guys that are at least interesting. Like they brought in a former 3rd-round pick from the Bears that could play the position at an adequate level. We'll see. He's part of your practice squad now. Brought in another guy that was on the practice squad last year that they seem to have some hope for. Broderick Martin, they brought him in, another former 3rd-round draft pick by the Detroit Lions. None of these guys have much history of success at the NFL level, but guess what? Neither did Mike Pennel when he first came over to Kansas City. And he was a really good player for them for a few seasons where they like desperately needed what he brought to the table. So I like taking chances on these guys, getting a little younger at the position, betting on the upside for guys that were former top 100 picks that have that draft pedigree still. Let's see what it looks like with them. I have no issues with that because this is a team that needs defensive tackles, not just for 2025, but beyond this season as well. I don't know that Mike Pennel was necessarily going to be Mike Pennel was not going to be a long-term answer. And I say this as a guy that's a big fan of Mike Pennel, both the person and the football player.
It was surprising simply because of the lack of depth at the position. But as BK said,
he was starting,
but they addressed that. And Omar Norman-Lott's hurt right now. So yeah, like I kind of thought Mike Pennel was going to be a lock for the roster. He's also 34 years old. Maybe there's something to that. I just think that, especially the reaction to this has been shocking to me. The reaction of them bringing Derek Nottie back and cutting Mike Pennel and like the negative reaction to all of that is insane. But this is also
them as basically the same player.
Like, you remember a player by the name of Keandre Coburn, a 6th-round pick from a couple of years ago. The Chiefs cut out of training camp because he couldn't get into shape and he wasn't capable of like playing for them. And everybody freaked out. Oh my God, you're burning a draft pick this soon. What a disaster. Unbelievable that you couldn't get anything out of him. Keandre Coburn has bounced around since then and has not been able to stay on an NFL roster. I'm willing to give the Chiefs the benefit of the doubt. If they think Mike Pennel has just hit the wall at 34, then maybe he simply has, and they're just taking some swings on some other guys that were discarded from teams. And that's exactly what you should be doing at roster cut down time. So we know that they want it to be Chris Jones, like Derek Nottie, hopefully Omar Norman-Lott, like a rotation of those guys with Amenahu and Mike Dana kind of rotating around the line. And then maybe you get something out of these other guys that are younger and that have more potential upside once they get coached up by this Chiefs defensive staff.
Do you guys remember Tim Ward, the defensive end, that when they cut him in 2021, it was like the end of the world because they cut a guy who had legit pass rush juice? He ended up going on to play exactly 11 career NFL games after getting cut by the Kansas City Chiefs, was on the Jets that season, and then never played again.
Yeah, listen, I'm not going to sit here and let you just take out Grandview High School's own Mike Pennel and compare him to this Ward fella.
Mike what this is about?
Mike Pennel.
I'm talking more about the Essapol type of thing. Like it's the same thing. People freak out about the 53rd player on the roster. It's unnecessary.
And again, I'm not going to let you also compare Mike Pennel to Essapol. This is unfair. Mike Pennel has been the starting defensive tackle next to Chris Jones the entire season, like the entire training camp. He went into their
Ron, but he was replaced. If they cut Mike Pennel and nobody came in. All right, cool. I'm with you. That's a super weird move. They traded this week for Derek Nottie, who has served in the exact same capacity for Super Bowl winning teams.
I hear you. For me personally, I think there's a difference between Derek Nottie and Pennel. Like I like Pennel better than Derek Nottie over the years. I know Derek is probably 29, 30. Something like that. He's probably younger.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I've liked him better. And I don't know. It is just odd to me. Again, I'm not saying that this is the end of the world, right? I'm also not going to compare him to guys that haven't done shit for the Chiefs, that have just become, guys that people have fallen in love with, like this Essapol fella. But it's kind of weird that, like, he goes from starter to, I know they brought Derek Nottie off the streets, but he comes from, hey, man, he's starting while we're kind of getting Norman-Lott here, and He's clearly been ahead of Jerry Tillery, who you brought in on the depth chart this entire go around, and all of a sudden he's just up out of here. All right, it's not the end of the world.
It's not like Mike Pennell's getting a lot of interest from other teams. Like I don't think he's signing anywhere else at this point. Like I think he just thought he was going to be on this team, and now he's frustrated, understandably. But I don't think a lot of teams are out here clamoring for a 34-year-old rotational defensive tackle.
And specifically nose tackle. And that's the other thing that I wanted to mention here, Ron. Like, I hear you. He's ahead of Jerry Tillery. Sure, they play different positions. Like Jerry Tillery's a 3-tech. He is Chris Jones's backup. And the backup to the nose tackle position right now appears to be Omar Norman-Lott, who I'm not entirely sure is going to be ready to go by week 1. But Omar Norman-Lott put on a bunch of weight in this offseason. I'm, once again, not sure that was a good idea, but he did it nonetheless. So he is your backup nose tackle. He was always making this roster. You're not cutting a second-round pick.
No, they got his ass as the starter right now.
Norman-Lott?
That's one of the depth charts I'm looking at. But go ahead.
Yeah, I would be surprised by that. I think it's Derek Nottie. Like, I think Nottie will be that guy, whether it's now or within the next couple of weeks. But regardless, like those are your nose tackles right now. And then they have 3 other guys that are currently younger and serve in some capacity of upside on the practice squad. So, like, there was no spot for Mike Pennell to make this roster on the 53. It was ultimately a decision of him versus these other guys on the practice squad. And if that's the decision, like, I'm fine with taking the upside play with some of these guys on the practice squad. It sucks for Pennell. I feel for him, but he was never going to make this roster once they traded for Derek Nottie on the 53.
Yeah, no, when Derek Nottie came in, I don't know. I just find it weird. The guy goes from starting and being that guy in the starting lineup on this defense, and he's been here for years, and he fits that run-stopping role that you want next to Chris Jones and the dress rehearsal game, and he's gone. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's not as weird to you two, obviously, but it is very strange. Like, to me, I guess I didn't look at it and think, "Ooh, boy, Derek Nottie got to go. You got a chance to get him or Pennell." I would have had Pennell, but as you said, depending on what other teams do, maybe he is somebody that they have a chance to bring back. That's the only thing on the roster that looked odd to me that I didn't see coming. A starter got sniped, off the roster and didn't make the 53. I know you over here getting yourself nervous. BK starts to sweat. He does all this. He gets these reading, and then he probably comes and wakes up at night sweats because Jawaan Taylor has come out here and Jawaan Taylor came out here and just being honest with y'all. And now you're itching to pull the trigger on Jawaan Taylor and get his ass up out of here. And you know what? I have been there a long time ago. I am with you. I'm ready for more 077 to take over, and I understand it. But you done got yourself real nervous. You're looking for any reason, like I am, to get Jawaan Taylor's $80 million ass up out of there.
So I'm going to go ahead and say that's not necessarily exactly the way that I would position myself, but
that's all right. I'll help you.
I'll ride your coattails. All right, so Jawaan Taylor was asked about his knee and if it's going to be a problem for him getting to Brazil, which is apparently a long flight, as you know. Quote, "It's a long flight. Just got to make sure that I wear compression sleeves. When I get there, I'm not sure if I'm going to need to get it drained," end quote. Not exactly the thing that you want to hear about your starting right tackle a week ahead of the start of the regular season. Yeah, man, a long flight, might have to get my knee drained. We knew this was a problem for him. I don't know that I realized the severity of it and how much it was going to play into the regular season for him. But I do think it continues to give us a glimpse into why they signed Jalen Moore. Jalen Moore was a placeholder at left tackle in case they didn't get somebody at 30 or in the late portion of the first round, wherever they ended up selecting, whether that was moving up or whatever. They ended up finding somebody in Josh Simmons, who is now the clear-cut starter at left tackle. But when that happened, Jalen Moore becomes your insurance policy in case Jawaan Taylor's knee explodes. Like that appears to be his real value right now. He also serves in a role where if Kingsley reverts back to what he was early last year, he can take that spot at left guard as well. So Jalen Moore is a very expensive insurance policy. He also might be a necessary insurance policy for the Chiefs this year in the event that Taylor gets hurt or Kingsley's no good. So it just sheds more light on that signing once again.
Yeah, no, Jawaan Taylor, he's gonna find a way to get on that field. Now he'd probably been a little too honest, because Jawaan Taylor is in the midst of a potential Wally Pipp situation. I know, Serda, I'll explain to you the Wally Pipp situation. Wally Pipp was a first baseman for the Yankees, and he had to miss some.
I know Wally Pitt.
But listen, your baseball knowledge isn't always that great. I just want to make sure you're not lost on the Wally Pipp situation. That's it. I just want to make sure. So you know the Lou Gehrig Wally Pipp situation. You got it. All right, good. Steve's got it. All right, but he is.
Serda's so annoyed.
But I'm just saying, and you know Andy, and I'm with him. If he somehow has to miss that game in Brazil, and they come out there and the protection is beautiful, and Moore is out there, hey, they'll sit Jawan's ass down, and they will just keep going with the hot hand and what's working. So he gonna find a way to get that knee all right. Like he gonna be all right. And what you're saying, which like this is the NFL now. They're at 17 games. Somebody's gonna miss time. And the hope with what the Chiefs have done that somebody's going to have to miss time is due to probably injury. But they're like the days of like, hey, man, you got 5 guys that are just going to play all 17 games are probably not going to happen. And your hope is that's not the case. But Jawaan Taylor, I think, missed some time last year. We obviously know the revolving issue at the left tackle position, which then made the right guard or the left guard position have to be used. Right? They had 4 different people play left tackle last year. Like you're probably, the odds are you're probably going to have to. Yeah, so it made sense that they did it in a different way, but that they were not going to allow what happened to them last year to happen again. That they're stuck in certain positions. They're not going to allow that again. All right. I don't think we can leave here without discussing what I think will be the biggest news in the NFL for I think a couple weeks leading into the start of the season next Thursday, and that is I can't believe it got here. Jerry Jones has decided to trade. Check that. Nico Harrison and Jerry Jones came together in Dallas yet again and decided to trade Micah Parsons, not to the Dolphins, not to the Bills, not to a team in the AFC, no, to a team that repeatedly has knocked them out of the playoffs here in recent memory, and the Green Bay Packers, another contender, for 2 first-round picks and Kenny Clark. That is the craziest trade that we've seen in a while. I didn't really ever think that they wouldn't get this thing done, but this thing got super personal. I know Jerry today said, "Oh, there is no vindictiveness. I like Micah." No, this got seriously personal, and it is the only explainable reason why the Dallas Cowboys at this time did what they did. It is insane, unbelievable.
Ron, I'm genuinely shocked. Like, I don't get all that floored by moves in the NFL by and large. Most of them are relatively predictable to see coming. Like, hey, Terry McLaurin, he's missing a bunch of practices. He needs this new contract. It's going to be super expensive, but he's older. And all this conversation is taking place. Man, we know where this is going to end. He's going to get a contract. It's going to be worth a lot of money, and they're going to give him the deal similar to what DK Metcalf got. Like, the comps are not that hard to see for most of these guys. Trey Hendrickson, right? You see him, it's like, all right, what's going to happen here? Uh-oh, he might hold out. Uh-oh, he might not play for the... No, man, he's going to play for the Bengals, and the Bengals are going to do their thing. They're going to give him a little more money. They're not going to guarantee that second year, and he's going to get on the field for him. This one was different. because apparently the threats on both sides were legit. And they actually made the move that nobody believed that they were going to make. This is the kind of move that alters NFL history, Ron. Like the Dallas Cowboys, I don't know if they were going to win anything all that meaningful with Micah Parsons, but he's the piece that allows you to. Like if the Cowboys put together the requisite amount of talent around Dak Prescott and Micah Parsons, you can build a franchise around that. Now the Green Bay Packers could be that team. I already liked the Packers a lot going into the season. They were one of the teams that I was higher on than most. I was higher on them last year than most were. I like Jordan Love. I think they have a great coach and they've got a good system in place. You add Micah Parsons to that, like this could be the team similar to the Eagles and the 49ers. The Chiefs could see the Packers in the Super Bowl in 2 of the next 5 years. That's in play now that they have somebody like Micah Parsons on that defense. They were missing a game wrecker on that side of the ball. They've got a lot of really good players. They are missing a legit blue chip talent, the likes of which the Chiefs have with Chris Jones. When you get late into the games, you know Chris Jones is about to make a play. That's Micah Parsons. And now you get into these playoff games and he can go wreak havoc on opposing offenses. It's a fascinating move, man. I can't believe the Cowboys actually did it. It's a boatload of money. And there's a chance you look back on this and say, man, it's really hard to construct a roster around a franchise quarterback making real money and Micah Parsons making $47 million a year at a non-quarterback position. But it's a move you had to make if you were the Packers because now you're a legit Super Bowl contender because of it.
Yeah, I think the Packers were a good team, a playoff team before this.
It changes me. It changes completely how I view them.
Yeah, like before this, it was like, yeah, they're a fun team. They're one of the youngest rosters in the NFL. If they really, continue to develop and whatever, and like maybe Matthew Golden finally puts that offense over the top in a way none of these other wide receivers have been able to over the past few years. But they've got a good offensive line. If Jordan Love's healthy, like he's a good quarterback. We'll see if he can, take it to another level this season. But their biggest problem for years now has been pass rush. Like Rashawn Gary is a nice player, but Rashawn Gary's not a game wrecker. Like they went out and drafted Lucas Van Ness to try to see if he could be that for them, and he hasn't been that yet.
But they get to keep both of them.
But with those guys are strong rotational pass rushers, and then you add in maybe outside of Myles Garrett, the best pass rusher in football, and all of a sudden that defense is a whole lot scarier. And yeah, again, and I think Matthew Golden, like who's the first Packers first round wide receiver in forever, in like decades, like they took him in the first round because they think he can be a difference maker the way some of these other guys haven't been before. And like all of a sudden I'm like, man, the Packers, like this offseason's been all about the Eagles and all about, the Commanders, and can Jaden Daniels do it again? And Washington really went all in to try to build off of that NFC Championship game berth. And now all of a sudden I'm sitting here looking at the Packers. I'm like, damn, like
I think they're the second.
Micah changes things and you didn't really give up that much for it. The Packers draft well too. So those are going to be like late first round picks in all likelihood.
I think they're the second best. I think they're the second best team in the NFC. Right now, and I think they can beat the Eagles. It's insane because they got to keep all of those guys, and you're going to say, "Oh, Rashawn Gary's a nice player." What's it going to look like when he's not the focal point? I mean, he had 7.5 sacks last year, and he was the clear focal point. Van Ness, what's it like? He's going to be a guy that helps Parsons' deficiencies because he could stop the run a lot. Like. He's more of a power in than he is a pass rusher. And that's the other thing is Micah just has not been on anywhere near complete type of defense. And this is going to be like you give up Kenny Clark, that's tough, but still they still got guys there. I like Wyatt as a run stopper, but he's just not been on a complete defense. This is a go for broke. And then you start matching what their offense potentially is going to be capable of doing and the type of games that their defense is going to be in, which fits that pass rush. I bet Rashawn Gary, he's going to fool around and get paid again because that, he's about to live this George Karlaftis life. He's about to live that life to where the orbit is taking so much of you up here going up against guys that you can beat one-on-one.
The other thing with Micah, dude, he's such a weapon in that, like, I'm not sure I don't think there's another player in the NFL quite like him, honestly. He's almost, man, it's a weird comparison because they play such different positions, but it kind of reminds me of Troy Polamalu, where he was just truly one of one. He did something that no other player in the NFL did. He would just like pick his spots. He would choose pre-snap because he's so smart, football IQ wise. He'd choose where he's going. And whether that be a blitz, just like going deep, whatever it was, he was going to find the football and make a play. That's kind of Micah, man. Like early in his career, he was an off-ball linebacker, and he is converted into a legitimate edge rusher where that's his specific role, but he can do everything. Like if you need him to play off ball for a little bit, it's not his ideal role, and you want him, like the ideal spot is just to make the greatest value as a pass rusher, but he can do anything for you. Whatever you need him to do in any given game, you can build a full game plan around him. We talked about this on our show locally recently, Ron. Like we were going through, if you had to build a team, you could construct a roster. You're doing the old like Madden fantasy draft thing, right? And everybody in the league is available to you. The only thing you can't do is take a quarterback, but you have to start your team with somebody. You're taking into account age, position, all that stuff. Don't take into account contracts, but take into account everything else. Micah Parsons would probably be my number one pick because of the value that he brings to a defense. He just changes everything that everybody else on your defense is capable of doing. For them to be able to get him for 2 late first-round picks is nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And they gave up a 30-year-old run-stuffing defensive tackle. Like, all right, Jerry, if that's really what you want, we'll go ahead and give it to you. That's fine, I guess.
Kenny's out there saying, I don't turn 30 until October.
And
chill out on me, man.
And
got a couple months.
But they draft well too. Like, yes, you miss first round picks, but they're gonna find contributors later in the draft. And Matt LaFleur is one of the best play callers in the NFL. Like,
this helps because I mean, obviously the Chiefs was in the other teams have been in this position when they've made bold moves. But the reason why it doesn't kill you as much is because you have your quarterback. Right, you have your offensive line, your tackles that you need. You have your pass rusher, right? Like they've got a great safety. Like you feel pretty good of the major areas that can improve your team for the first round. And who says they can't get back in? Like they'll be just fine. They'll be just fine.
And Ron, like, their cap situation's in a great spot because of what Serda said a little bit ago. Like they're incredibly young. They are a team that has ultimate cap flexibility right now. They've only got a few guys making real money, and most of them, if they needed to next year, they could move on from them. So, I mean, it's a boatload of money. Let's not undersell this. Like Micah Parsons didn't just reset the market. He did so in a way that earlier today, our guy, Joel Corey, who does stuff for CBS Sports, previously was an NFL agent. He said he's never seen a player outside of the quarterback position reset the market the way that Micah Parsons did today. It's like this was a huge mega deal for him. He got paid in a serious, serious way. But the Packers can make it work because of what they have on the roster, because of the flexibility that they have. And he's going to come in, man, and he's going to be a superstar for them. This is it's a huge, huge move.
It is. I think he was ready to be out. And that's the other part is the Cowboys could have done, they had the funds and could have done whatever it needed to be financially to make this work with a potential transcendent player. But it wasn't the financial stuff. It was everything else that created this personal situation, which is just insane. Again, I will say this, the people in Dallas, good God almighty. You've had a Shams situation when you're trying to sit back and enjoy things for the Super Bowl coming up, and then all of a sudden you're having to check and refresh to make sure shit is real. And now here comes Ian Rappaport and Adam Schefter rolling down with, guess what, folks? And you know what else sucks? A little bit later on in the day, or a little bit later on, Corey Seager, the best player for the Rangers, he had an appendectomy in his time, and he's going to miss time, and they don't know when he's going to come back. So I mean, Mike Madonna, something's happened to him for the Stars. I mean, it is just come hell or high water. Just a crazy shit situation in Dallas. I mean, them fans got to be beside themselves, just beside themselves.
Thank God they got Cooper Flag, man. Thank God they got Cooper Flag.
Yeah, I'm out of here on that. We are out.